Subway was dying while breaking records. In 2015, it had more than 44,000 restaurants across 113 countries, making it one of the largest restaurant chains ever built. From the outside, it looked unstoppable. Yellow signs were on highways, inside malls, beside gas stations, and sometimes across from other subways. But by 2024, more than 7,000 U.S. stores had vanished, including 631 in just 1 year. Its celebrity spokesman was arrested. Its founder died. Its most famous deal became a franchisee nightmare. But none of that was the true killer. The real damage was older, quieter, and built into the machine from the beginning. Subway did not collapse because people stopped liking sandwiches. It collapsed because the system rewarded expansion, even when owners were losing money. That was the trap. And that trap began with a teenager, $1,000, and a dangerous illusion. Fred DeLuca was 17 years old when he wanted money for college and had no clear way to get it. A family friend, Peter Buck, offered him $1,000 and a business idea: open a sandwich shop. The first store opened on East Main Street in Bridgeport, Connecticut, under the name Pete's Super Submarine Sandwiches. The first day looked promising. The shop sold 312 sandwiches, which sounded like proof the idea worked. Then reality arrived. By the end of 1965, Buck's money was almost gone, and DeLuca later admitted that barely anyone came into that first store. Then he learned the lesson that would shape Subway forever. If one failing shop looked weak, 2 shops could look like momentum. So DeLuca tried to turn appearance into survival. That became the Subway playbook. The first store was struggling, but DeLuca pushed for a second. To convince suppliers to extend credit, he had to make the business seem more serious than it really was. He cut costs everywhere. He brought in his mother, his sister, and later his wife to work inside the shop. Family could work longer, accept less, and care more than outside employees. It looked better on paper. That was enough to keep the dream alive. DeLuca later told Fortune that opening the second location helped create the appearance of success. But the second store also disappointed. Sales were not much better than the first. Most founders would stop there. DeLuca did the opposite. He persuaded suppliers to support a third location, and this time the gamble finally worked. The third shop performed well enough to make the business seem legitimate. By 1968, there were 5 stores. Still, the company was fragile. DeLuca bought radio ads, hoping attention would fix the weakness. Instead, the name became a problem. When listeners heard Pete's Submarines through his New York accent, some thought he was saying Pizza Marines. People arrived asking for pizza. That mistake forced a rebrand. DeLuca shortened the idea into one clean word borrowed from the New York subway system. Subway. Bright yellow letters. Easy to remember. Hard to confuse. But it was more than a name change. It revealed a pattern. When something was broken, DeLuca changed how it looked before changing how it worked. By 1972, Subway appeared to be growing fast. But when DeLuca asked a bank for money, the bank looked past the storefronts and examined the finances. The answer was harsh. Without proper statements and a serious business plan, institutional support would not come. The stores looked like progress. The numbers told another story. While the shops struggled, DeLuca had already made his first $1 million. The stores were not healthy, but the founder was learning how to win. By 1974, he was halfway toward his target of 32 stores. But the money was gone again. Banks were not lining up. Suppliers had limits. DeLuca wanted more locations, but he needed a way to grow without paying for every store himself. McDonald's had already shown how powerful the model could be. But Subway needed a hook. DeLuca stripped the restaurant down to its cheapest possible form. No grills, no fryers, no heavy ventilation systems. Just bread, meat, vegetables, a counter, and a process simple enough for 2 people to operate. That was the pitch. Subway was not selling the greatest sandwich in the country. It was selling one of the cheapest doors into restaurant ownership. In the 1970s, A McDonald's franchise required a $10,000 license fee, a $15,000 security deposit, 20-year agreements, and major equipment costs. Subway offered a $14,000 franchise fee, only $1,000 for extra locations, and far fewer upfront barriers. For first-time operators, it looked like freedom. Then DeLuca built a growth engine. Strong franchisees became development agents. Each received a territory and earned money from new franchise fees, plus 1/3 of royalties. More than 200 agents spread across the country, and their incentive was simple: open more stores. That incentive changed everything. A top Subway executive, Richard Pilchin, said DeLuca always wanted to compete with McDonald's, even when Subway was small. By 2002, Subway passed McDonald's in U.S. store count. By 2011, it was seen as the largest restaurant chain on Earth. The teenager who borrowed $1,000 had become a billionaire. But the old weakness never disappeared. Average Subway sales hovered around $400,000 a year, among the lowest in the industry. Jersey Mike's produced roughly 80% more. Subway was easy to open, but customers had no deep reason to choose it. Then one man gave the brand the word it desperately needed. In 1999, a student newspaper in Indiana told the story of Jared Fogle, who said he lost 245 pounds while eating Subway twice a day. Men's Health picked up the story. Subway tested a regional ad on January 1, 2000. The response was immediate. For the first time, customers associated Subway with one powerful idea: healthy. One person's transformation did what no menu strategy had done. Subway later credited Fogle with 33% to 50% of sales growth. Revenue tripled from 1998 to 2011. The company's marketing chief said Jared had become part of the brand's fabric. Subway finally had a reason to matter. Then 2008 hit. Customers pulled back spending, and franchisees felt the pressure. In Miami, a franchisee named Stuart Frankel tried a bold local deal, $5 footlongs. It worked so well that corporate took it national. In the first year, Subway sold $3.8 billion worth of footlongs. It looked brilliant, but it created a contradiction. For years, Subway trained people to think healthy. Now it trained them to think cheap. A brand can survive many problems, but owning two clashing ideas is dangerous. By 2011, inflation and labor costs made the $5 footlong painful for many owners. Yet the promotion continued to haunt them. Then the health image cracked. In 2014, a blogger highlighted a bread ingredient also used in yoga mats. In 2017, DNA tests claimed Subway chicken was roughly half chicken. In 2020, an Irish court ruled the bread had so much sugar it could not legally qualify as bread for tax purposes. The promise was bleeding. Competitors took clearer positions. Jersey Mike's felt higher quality. Jimmy John's felt faster and cleaner. Firehouse Subs felt heartier. Subway sat in the middle, and in restaurants, the middle is often where brands go to disappear. By 2014, the original $5 footlong was discontinued. By summer 2015, sales had already fallen for 2 straight years. Then came the headlines everyone remembers. In August, Jared Fogle was arrested on horrific charges and pleaded guilty. Subway cut ties within hours. In September, Fred DeLuca died of leukemia at age 67, with no clear succession plan. The spokesman was disgraced, the founder was gone. The headlines were brutal, but sales did not suddenly collapse. The decline continued at the same pace it had already been following. That is the key. Jared did not kill Subway. DeLuca's death did not kill Subway. The machine underneath had been doing the damage for decades. It rewarded store openings, not store health. Development agents were paid to create more locations. Franchisees had little territorial protection. A new Subway could open across the street from an existing one, and the original owner had almost no defense. In some areas, 5 or 6 Subways existed within a 10-minute walk, each draining sales from the others. The empire was eating itself. Around 100 U.S. franchisees signed an open letter saying the dream had become a nightmare. They were right to be furious. In 2015, the average Subway generated about $422,000 in annual sales. Corporate took 8% in royalties and another 4.5% for advertising. That meant 12.5% of every dollar disappeared before bread, labor, rent, utilities, or wages were paid. Many owners cleared only $25,000 to $50,000 a year. If a store lost money, headquarters still collected, because royalties were based on gross sales, not profit. That made discounting brutal. A franchisee could lose money on a $5 footlong while still paying corporate on each sale. The deal that made customers cheer made owners bleed. In 2018, Subway tried reviving the $5 footlong. This time, more than 400 owners petitioned against it, forcing corporate to make the deal optional. The revolt was visible now. From 2015 to 2022, Subway closed more than 6,500 stores. Revenue fell from $11.5 billion in 2015 to $8.3 billion in 2020. By 2023, after 58 years, the founders' families sold Subway to Roark Capital for $9.55 billion, less than Chipotle was worth that same week. New ownership did not erase the old problem. Roark pushed remodels that could cost up to $100,000 per store. That burden landed on franchisees already fighting weak sales. By 2024, U.S. store count dropped below 20,000 for the first time in 2 decades. In 2025, another 729 franchises closed. Even after menu changes, redesigns, and a new owner, the average Subway still produced about $500,000 in annual sales in 2025, far behind sandwich rivals. The company that exposed Subway's weakness was Chipotle. It arrived 28 years later and made one crucial choice. It did not franchise. Its stores were company-owned, which meant headquarters felt the pain when a location struggled. Subway separated those incentives. Corporate earned from openings, royalties, and advertising fees, even when individual owners barely survived. DeLuca did not become rich because every sandwich shop was thriving. He became rich by selling thousands of people the chance to run one. That is the darker lesson. A brand can look huge while being fragile. A system can look successful while quietly hurting the people inside it. Subway did not die because of one scandal, one death, or one bad promotion. It died because it confused more stores with a stronger business. For decades, that mistake looked like victory. But growth is not proof of health. Sometimes the empire is already collapsing while the map is still getting bigger.